Pat yourself on the back because you are right here, right now, for a reason. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will empower ourselves and others to live lives with more passion and purpose.
How you doing this morning, Jerrod?
I'm so blessed to see your smiling self on your birthday, my friend. How does my day get any better than this?
Amen, brother. Thank you. Appreciate the kind message and ready to rock this podcast from Florida.
Dirty 30, huh?
The dirty 30, man.
Oh, man, life changes forever.
Man, I swear I remember my 13th birthday like it was yesterday, man. Time flies.
Isn't it funny? When you're a kid, 30 seems so old, huh?
It really did.
You're like 30. Oh, man. Now when you're 30, like, I'm still a baby.
For real.
Dude, I still feel that way, and I'm not 30. I still feel like a baby.
I love it.
Yeah, it's good. How's Florida treating you?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, Courtney and I were walking on the beach a couple days ago. It's probably like 78 degrees outside, birds chirping, waking me up in the morning. I'm loving it.
And for those of you guys that are just jumping in, this is our first episode since Ollie moved to Florida. So I'm sitting here with a hoodie and snow again. And he's on the beach. So we're going to have to fix this situation.
Yep.
But Andrea already told me she doesn't want to shovel snow anymore. So this is our last winter here.
Okay.
Yeah. So she put down the gauntlet. So I got to make it happen.
That's exciting, man. Lots of change happening.
Change is good. You know, that's where our growth is going to come from. A lot of learning and stuff. So which kind of leads us into this episode 108, how to find the silver linings in life. Because I'm sure, Ollie, everything went exactly as planned on this move. There was no hiccups, no, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, not exactly what happened. One thing I did learn though is I'm never using damn movers again. I'm just gonna move all the shit myself because damn, they charged me a lot more than they quoted me for, that's for sure.
Well, because they have your stuff hostage. Like you can't say like, no, I'm not paying this, because literally they have your whole house in their truck.
Right.
Why they say they had to charge you more?
Well, they give us they quoted us an amount. It was like $2,400 at first, and then we're like, oh well, we're talking to these other companies, and like, okay, well, we can do it for this. And we gave them a list of items, and there turned out to be a few more things. So like 2 days before the move, they're like, was that the full list? Blah, blah. We told them a couple more things. They upped the price. And then when the movers got there and looked at everything, they upped the price like another $650. So it's just like, what? So we got the price risen on us twice. But like you said, it was kind of at that point we're like, well, we got to move, like, I guess.
Yeah, because you can't stop and go get a rental, like a U-Haul by that point, because you're already so far into it.
Exactly. And we looked at the price for the U-Haul from Colorado to Florida. It was $2,200. So we're like, damn, we might as well hire some movers. But yeah, lesson learned.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good. Well, I'm glad you're there safe and sound. You found the beach and you're enjoying it already, because we're still jealous.
Yeah, definitely enjoying it. You guys got a guest room anytime over here now, though.
Well, we appreciate it. So what do you think, Ollie? What is the obstacle, or what is the reason that we were dealt setbacks or obstacles in life to begin with? What do you think the purpose of that is?
I believe that the purpose of setbacks are for you to reevaluate what you're doing. You know, we get into, as human beings, we're very habitual creatures. So we'll find something that works for us, a habit, routine, and then we'll stick to that almost just automatically every day. You're doing the same thing, same job, same breakfast, same whatever. And when you have a setback in your life, it's really an opportunity to deeply analyze your routines, what you're doing, what your patterns are, whether that's a setback because things are not working anymore and it's time for a change, or perhaps it can be a setback that's outside of your control, that may not be may not have anything to do with how you've structured your life, but there's so much opportunity in setbacks. You know, there's that quote, behind every setback is an opportunity. And I think when we look at, and we've had this discussion before, right, about not needing extreme setbacks or pain to make changes, but it's no secret that in so many highly successful people's stories, big setbacks and big failures are always ingredients to an amazing success story.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, right? Because as we prepared for this episode, one of the things that came to mind is Hollywood to me, like Rocky. The movie Rocky is one of the best movies ever, right? And people still watch it, even though it's like 30 or 40 years old now. And why do they watch it? It's not because he went undefeated or he had this easy life. They watch it because they identify with the struggle, right? He was working multiple jobs, training during the day, working at night. He lost some fights. He was overlooked. People didn't believe in him. And yet he comes back and do these great things. So why do you think it is that we want to watch people struggle and overcome that? We'll read about people that have struggled and overcome it. Shoot, we'll even go to churches or religious places where most of the message is about somebody who struggled and used faith and teachings to overcome things. Yet we don't want to look at our own obstacles and our own setbacks with that same light. We kind of get mad when we face these, but we love watching everybody else overcome them. Why do you think we're programmed that way, or conditioned to not see our own struggles for the importance they are?
Well, I think deep down that we do, but sometimes it can be hard when it's your life. You know, it's hard to really step outside of your own life and observe yourself and analyze yourself. And sometimes it takes a major setback in your life for you to actually do that, because we become so habitual in what's working, we become comfortable, and sometimes it can be hard to make yourself uncomfortable. So we get that feeling from other people's stories, from watching other people overcome adversity, from the comfort of our own home, right? Sitting on the couch, watching them on TV or laptop. But I think that the truth is we love watching that so much because deep down, that's what we want. We want that for ourselves as well, but only certain people, certain individuals who are truly committed to living their life with purpose, to achieving their goals, to achieving their dreams, who are willing to do the work, who are willing to be uncomfortable, who are willing to make sacrifices, are the ones that are actually going to have those Rocky type moments and experiences in their own life.
I love it. You hit the key word I was looking for right there, my friend. That's sacrifice. We don't, I believe that this is my belief, that we don't see the value in our own story. We don't find the value in our own struggles because we're not willing to sacrifice what it takes to overcome it. Right? Just like you said earlier, we get into unhealthy habits or unproductive routines, and we know it's unproductive. We know it's not healthy, but we don't stop ourselves from doing it because we would have to sacrifice. Well, maybe it makes me feel good in the moment if I do this. We'd have to sacrifice extra sleep to get up and go on that walk or to go on that run. And I think that's truly, if you look at any of the stuff we look to for people that overcome great obstacles or great setbacks, they sacrifice something else to make that happen. Right. So I think that, to me, that's a big thing, is what are you willing to sacrifice? Yes, you've identified this obstacle in your way. You've identified this hurdle to get over, but are you willing to sacrifice and do the work necessary to get there? Because it's work, right? Like, why do we get in routines? Because they work for us. They produce whatever results we're looking for the most part, and they're easy. We just do the same thing all the time. We never have to think about it. But when that obstacle appears, now all of a sudden we're challenged. Our thought process, physically, we're challenged. Emotionally, we could be challenged. And are we willing to sacrifice something to get ourselves past it?
Yeah. And it can be really hard too, Jerrod. Like I've shared with you and with the community before that I have felt for many years now in my business that I want to be doing something more or even something different. And it would take the sacrifice of potentially losing the consistent streams of revenue that I have from my current business model, potentially losing all of the business relationships and networks that I've made with my current industry, all of these things. And it took something that was outside of my control, the PACT Act of federal law, to really force me to, okay, now it's going to be more uncomfortable if I don't pivot now and potentially lose everything than it would be to start making some adjustments now. But that something that I've wanted on a level for a long time. I wasn't willing to make those sacrifices. So I think that's a big thing too, is your willingness, to really identify what it is that you're going to sacrifice and ask yourself, is this something that I'm willing to do? For me, for a few years there, for several years there, I was choosing something that was good, and primarily because I knew I was continuing to learn, continuing to grow from it, but wasn't willing yet to sacrifice. And sometimes these obstacles that are out of our control, I believe, present themselves, whether you believe that that's God, the universe, or whatever it is, to force you in a direction that you've been wanting to go, but just don't really know exactly how or where to start.
Don't you think that could be true of any obstacle?
For sure.
And to me, any obstacle could be a life-changing moment. And I was sharing this with Taya, my youngest daughter. She's about to graduate high school and getting ready to go on her own in life. And we're talking about different things, and she's like, well, what if I move to this place and I can't get a job, or I don't get the right job? Or I'm like, hey, what if all that happens? Like, just what about this example? What if on your way to start your new life in a new town where all these things could go wrong, your car breaks down in some little town? That's an obstacle, right? That's not something you want to have happen. But what if when the car breaks down, the mechanic you meet becomes the love of your life and fixes the car, and you get married and you have this amazing family with all these great adventures, and he becomes your partner? Like, it would be worth it. You wouldn't trade that obstacle for anything, because look what it. So we can see through that lens any obstacle every day if we choose. Right? Like, what if this guy, I go to the grocery store, and I love to we talk about grocery store all the time. I got to actually shop after we record today, so it's crazy. But the crabby person, what if I actually look forward to getting the crabby cashier, and then I'm nice to him? And maybe that niceness is what makes them realize, hey, I got to quit being crabby to the next people. Right? Like, any obstacle, any setback, any discomfort, we can frame our mind to actually be excited for that.
And I believe living in that state, a state of pronoia, right? A state that's the opposite of being paranoid,
right?
Really believing that the world around you is just always conspiring to do good for you is the best way to live.
Yeah. Think about that. What if we do that? What if we think everything we do is designed for us, instead of like initially like getting stuck at the train or hitting every red light? We're like, fuck, another red light. What if we're like, hey, I'm supposed to be stopped here for a minute. Let me look. Oh, there's a bald eagle in a tree. Or, oh, let me look at this beautiful neighborhood that I never paid attention to. Right? We literally, and that's the beauty of this whole episode, I believe, is we can literally change how we view the things we know are going to happen in life and get much more out of them.
100%.
So how do you think, Ali, our community members can start moving their mind frame that way?
I think just like anything, it takes practice. It takes that awareness, first of all, of when are you presented to have the awareness of, boom, okay, here's an obstacle. Like I thought of Pokemon, like Pokemon, like an obstacle appeared, right? An opponent appeared. So you have this obstacle that pops up. First of all, having the awareness, okay, this is an obstacle. Seeing, first of all, having that self-awareness of um, what is coming up for you. Are you paranoid? Are you thinking something negative? And then training yourself to believe that the universe is conspiring something good for you.
Yeah. So how do you do that? It's like, what's something that works for you? You do it, your gratitude, right? When I watch your gratitude, like if you're gracious, if you're thankful for all the stuff you already have, it's easy to be in a frame where when something goes bad, you're like, it's not really that big a deal. Let me see what I can learn from this. So having gratitude for where we're already at is a huge one.
Yeah, that's definitely, in my opinion, the most fundamental practice that you can do is practicing being grateful, because when you start to count your blessings, the more blessings you're going to have to count.
Yeah.
You will continue to see things that are a blessing in your life. From the moment you wake up, that's a huge blessing. Hundreds of thousands of people died the night before. You get to wake up. The fact that you can breathe, so many basics. And that's how I start my practice, is starting with the very basics. I thank God every day for the ability to see, touch, taste, hear, smell, for my senses, for my systems, my digestive system. I mean, it's a miracle, everything that the human body does, what we are as beings already. You know, we consume an apple and we magically put this apple becomes a part of us. You know, so there's already so many miracles that we are creating already. So foundational practice of gratitude, 100%. As far as in a specific situation though, Jerrod, sometimes it can be really hard to be able to see something in a positive light. And I will say that sometimes you may not feel ready to try and believe that the universe is conspiring against you. Some people may need to sit with that tough situation for a second. But once we realize that our reality is perception, when you realize that how you perceive it, that's the way it's going to be, that's when it becomes extremely powerful.
Yeah. So I 100% agree. You're not always going to find it immediately. But I do think that having a strong morning routine puts the odds in your favor to find it that way versus just hoping you see it that way. Right.
100%.
So like for me, man, you know, the gratitude, I do that every morning. And then what my intention setting. And I tell you, I've seen great results in my life. And like you even mentioned, like, dude, you seem a little more peaceful. And like I told you about my great trip to Montana, it was the best I've ever had. And I think specifically that is because one of my daily intentions is specifically to find joy and happiness in everybody I meet and all the obstacles I encounter. Every day. Like I literally tell myself that every day, multiple times a day. So I will, like, if I find myself being like, why is this happening? I'll be like, okay, wait a sec. I'm supposed to find joy and happiness. This is an obstacle. Let me find my joy and happiness. And it doesn't mean I have to solve it right this minute, but I'm like, okay, there's something I'm supposed to be learning here. There's something I'm supposed to be figuring out here. And I shared that this week with one of my students that's battling Parkinson's. He's been depressed. He's been down. And I was like, okay, tell me what's going on. Why are you feeling this way? You know, and he started listing out the things. And I was like, okay, now take a moment and write down all the silver linings that come from these things happening to you. My barista just delivered coffee.
Oh, lucky man.
Yeah, I am a lucky man. We got to get her on camera one of these days. So I asked him, okay, now all these obstacles that we're upset about that are causing us stress and pain, what's the silver lining? You know, and he's like, well, this one's making me and my wife closer because I'm more dependent on her. And this one is helping me find a new doctor that's has different experimental stuff that we may try, so it may prolong my life, right? So we literally took all the things that were upset, like his medicines weren't working. Well, what's the silver lining? I get to go to a new doctor who maybe has better ideas than this last guy. I'm not as independent as I wanted to be because I'm falling down a little more. Okay, what's the benefit there? Well, I'm more dependent on my wife, and we're getting closer, and we're rearranging our house to set things up for me. I mean, there were so many things that when he first looked at it, he was depressed and sad. And then he literally came back, and now here's the coolest thing. I did it a week ago with him. Now every time I see him, the first thing he says to me is silver linings. That's what he calls them.
Nice.
Silver linings, and that's a choice we have, right?
100%.
If we choose to see it, like you moving, like I can't tell you how many people were like, "Oh, dude, what are you guys gonna do with the podcast?" Like, oh my gosh. I was like, bro, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. What do you mean? What are we gonna do? And they're like, oh, and I could see like that my energy and my excitement of like, dude, it's gonna be better than ever. Like, I'm excited he moved. You could see they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Are you still gonna record it? Fuck you mean are we gonna record? We got 108 episodes. Of course we're recording.
Exactly. Well, I think that's a testament, Jerrod, to societal structures, right? We have general views on what we should be upset about, right? What should make us sad or mad, right? The news controls a lot of that and tells us, all right, this week you need to be mad or upset about COVID, or this week you need to be upset about gun laws, or right? So to where we get conditioned to believing that, oh, if we're in a certain situation, then we should be upset. We should be mad. But in the Bible, it says something along the lines of God makes us in his image. Essentially, we are the creator of our life. We are these mini gods that have the ability to perceive life in the way that we want it, to where when you are perceiving and truly believing whatever it is that you're believing or perceiving, that's what reality is going to seem like. So if you believe that the reality is, oh man, my life sucks, etc., your life sucks, etc. If you believe, oh man, everything that happens to me is for my higher purpose, then guess what? Everything that happens to you is serving a higher purpose, even when it seems like it's an obstacle at first. And I think that's such an important thing for us to remember, is that Gary Vee says this. First of all, the odds that we're human beings are incredible. It's like a trillion to one.
Yeah.
Being a human beings, we're at the top of a food chain. We're the most advanced in this day and age. We're the most advanced species ever in history. We have the supercomputer, superhuman brain to process cognitive functions at lightning speeds. We have a memory capacity. We're the most advanced computer ever. Yet we can be pissed off and upset about the dumbest shit. Why not choose to believe that everything that happens in your space is for your highest purpose? Because if you do believe that, then guess what? It is.
What's that quote, right? Life happens for you, not to you. I forget who said that, but that's a big one, right? Life is happening for you. Like this move, you going to Florida, it's happening for us. It's designed to give you more experiences, to push our boundaries, to let us influence people in different places that we've never met before. Like, it's for us. It's not to us. But
if you believe that,
and if you have people around you to also believe like-minded, which, if you're new to the community, please go back and listen to Circle of Five. It's one of our very first episodes. So think about the example I gave you. One of my students in Rock Steady Boxing, what if he, instead of coming to me, who was focused on seeing the opportunities of every obstacle, he went to people that he knows don't see it that way. And he vented to them and looked for feedback to them. And they say, oh, well, poor you. Oh, you can't overcome this. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, you won't be able to do that. Oh, it's such a tragedy. Well, then he'd be fed information that lets him see the obstacles greater than they are. right? So a lot of it is dependent upon who do we surround ourselves? What information are we taking in? Are we talking to people that we know are going to help us see the good and the positivity and the opportunities we have? Or is our circle, quite honestly, everybody feels like life is happening to them and nobody sees that life is happening for them?
Mhm.
And if you're in that circle, it's a good time to start making a change.
Yep, 100%. Because whoever you surround yourself, that's going to influence your thoughts, and then your thoughts are your reality. Life happens for you if you believe that.
Yeah.
But life also happens to you if you believe that.
Or if you let it, right? I
If
think
you
that's
let
it.
it.
I think life happening for you means you're proactive. You're looking forward to learning and growing and having challenges and making changes and seeing all there is.
Mm-hmm.
Life happening to you means you just sit back and take whatever life gives you, which is why I think a morning routine is so important, and framing your mind to see gratitude and to see opportunity and abundance. Think about it, we're the wealthiest nation the world's ever seen. We have the most stuff of any people ever in history, yet we also have a high percentage of people that are completely unhappy.
Yeah.
Well, that's a choice, right? We can start to choose to be happy. And I always love when I see the videos. There's that one meme that's gone around of the little kids dancing in Africa. And like this little boy's just tearing it up. I don't even know what music he's listening, but he's dancing his ass off on a dirt road and what we consider rags for clothes and no running water and nothing that we would consider comfortable around them. Yet they're happy as hell. Why? Because they don't know they shouldn't be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But because for some reason we hear, instead of focusing on why we can be happy and why we can be great, have gratitude, we like to focus on why we should be mad, why we should be angry, why the world is against us.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
I was just going to say, it goes back to what you said earlier, who and what we're surrounding ourselves with, right? If you watch the news every day, it's going to be hard to believe that life happens for you. I'll let you know, because the news's main product is what? Fear, secondary product lines, anxiety, anger, depression, sadness, right? That's their product. That's how they get viewership. That's how they sell. So if that's one of your primary inputs, you're gonna need more than just a morning routine to actually believe life is happening for you. Yeah. But hey, if you forego the news, you really limit that input, and you're listening to things like the On Purpose podcast, surrounding yourself with awesome people like yourself who are uplifters, who are motivators, who believe in you, then chances are you're going to be a pro-noid person and believe that everything happens for you. And guess what? It will start to happen. Things will start happening in your favor. You might have some obstacles, but you're quickly going to be able to find that silver lining and be like, man, I'm so glad that obstacle happened to me. And I'll tell you what, Jerrod, this last month, there were several days that I didn't do my morning routine for whatever reason, getting ready for packing, and it affected me, especially now that I'm here in Florida and looking back and reflecting and speaking with Courtney about it, and just like, wow, like it is amazing how powerful a grounding morning routine can be, with gratitude, with affirmations. You can literally say repeatedly with energy what you want to happen, like you do, right? Every obstacle and every person I meet, I'm going to find the joy and happiness in it. You can literally say things like that. Say things like, everything that happens in my life is for my highest purpose. Yep. Everything that happens in my life is for my highest purpose. There's no, I mean, it's in science now, right? Quantum possibilities, quantum mechanics, that shows, that is now proving through science that these things are real. When you're putting these energies out into the universe, energies and frequencies that we're emitting, we're gonna receive those back. So it's so important to make sure that we're emitting energies in a way that we want to be emitted back to us.
Yeah, For sure. And here's the beautiful thing, community, and for all our listeners, is I have not always been this way. Right. Like I will tell you, and if you talk to Andrea, she'll have thousands of stories about how I didn't always see the opportunity, and I didn't always see that the grass was green ahead of me, and that there was a world of abundance. And that's one of the main reasons I got out of police work when I did. It was, but again, we go back to sacrifice. I had to give up some comforts of income and benefits and security in a job because I knew it wasn't who I really wanted to be anymore. Because that world is just so much different. And, you know, even Andrea tells me now, she's like, I know when I throw one of my crazy big ideas at you, your first initial instinct is going to be like, oh, no, not like, And then she's like, oh, well, so I just like, I let you sit with it for a little bit. And then usually like in a little while, you'll come back with all these opportunities and solutions to it. And
that's awesome.
Well, I mean, 21 years, like she's figured me out by now as much as she can. But my whole point is, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I don't see the opportunities, I struggle with this, you're exactly where you're supposed to be, because we still struggle with it. We have to work on it every day. And it's not, I think it's more of my natural tendency since I've changed my environment. I'm not around law enforcement, which has an overwhelmingly negative view of life because it's just the shared aspects of the job, but it still takes work. So I don't want anybody listening thinking like, oh, I just come to these guys and they got it all figured out. No, we don't either. We have to practice it daily, just like you're going to have to practice it daily. But here's what we do know. If obstacles are going to happen every day and hurdles are going to be put in front of us and challenges will always be there, and we'll pay money to watch superheroes overcome them and all these stars and movies, why don't we write a movie about ourselves and make ourselves the star?
Right.
Why don't we become the hero in our own movie of overcoming our own obstacles? We can, if we start choosing that, if we start surrounding ourselves with people that are going to empower us, and we start creating habits that allow us to see it that way.
Yep. Jerrod, so how do you initially deal with an unexpected obstacle or setback? Kind of walk us through that process. Like, boom, just had a major unexpected setback in your life. How do you deal with it?
Man, well, now I'm much better than I was. You know, like honestly, yeah, before I'd be defensive and be like, man, pissed off a little bit and maybe even a little bit angry about it. Now I really, if I'm in a good frame of mind, I see it, I'm just like, okay, this is pretty cool. Let me figure this out. But if I feel, what I pay attention to, especially since the quarantine and all that stuff, I've definitely been more hyper aware. If I start feeling my heart race and I start feeling like anxiousness coming on me, then I just literally stop and I just tell myself my little mantra that I need to seek joy and happiness in every person and every obstacle. And I will just tell myself that over and over until I feel my body kind of relax and the emotions come down. And then I'll start looking at it. Okay, what am I supposed to learn here? What am I supposed to solve? And that to me, and maybe because I'm getting older and I realize, life is so short, but I'm fascinated by what I'm supposed to learn. And the fact that I'm learning this excites me. So once I get that stress release kind of back down, I'm excited to figure out what I can learn.
Love it. Love it.
Because think about it, they're all there to teach you something. If you look back in your life, most people's greatest learning moments are associated with some kind of setback, some kind of obstacle, something they had to overcome. So we got to start seeing those for the opportunities they are instead of trying to avoid them at all cost.
And you mentioned earlier that you haven't always been this way. So your process has changed over the years. How has it changed? How did you used to take on unexpected obstacles and setbacks?
Oh, I was bad at it, dude, to be honest, man. I'd get angry, upset, probably surround myself with other people that were angry and upset, found that the world was just happening to you. And I think that's an immature way to look at it. And I think a lot of us are there. early in our life because we don't have the experience and we haven't had the success of overcoming obstacles yet, right? You know what I mean? Like when you're younger and you have this idea for your life and then this happens, it's easy to be like, what the hell? Why is this here? Like, I don't see. But as as you get older, hopefully your process changes with maturity and life experience. And now I think that I've seen like some of the best blessings in my life were unexpected. Some of the best things I've learned came up from obstacles that I didn't see coming. Like the podcast. Dude, think about when we started the podcast, we had no idea that people were going to be in their houses for almost a year, that we're going to have this global pandemic. We didn't know any of this. Mm-hmm. But what a great obstacle it's been for us to learn and grow, to be there to serve people that needed us at that time, probably more than they ever needed us prior in their lives. But when it happened, we didn't say, okay, well, we can't do our podcast anymore because all this. All right, let's shut everything down. No, we were both like, okay, how do we overcome this? Well, let's do our weekly calls with people. Let's check in with people. Let's build our community. You know what I mean? And it's just, that comes from experience of, okay, we took this great leap. We're not just going to quit because an obstacle shows up. We're not going to quit because another decision was made that impacts us. We're going to figure out how to do what we do and what we believe in. And I think that's part of how my process has changed. Is I have a very defined purpose. I know why I do what I do. And you know why you do what you do. So it's easy to go like, I can't quit here just because there's this obstacle. Like, I know why I'm doing this and something big is on the other side. So I would say that's another tip for our community members is work on what is your purpose? What is your life's purpose? So that when you're faced with obstacles and uncertainty, you have the natural drive to push through it, not retreat, because you know there's something great on the other side.
Right. Yeah, that's great advice there. And extremely, or I should say much easier when you know your life's purpose, when you know your why on how to navigate obstacles. It's much easier to navigate obstacles when you have purpose and why.
And you have Jerrod, a routine that frames how you're going to do every day.
Exactly.
So it's having not by that foundational routine. Right? Like your gratitude practice. If you guys haven't followed Ali on Instagram, you should. Like you literally do a gratitude every single day. Mm-hmm. Well, so that's conditioning your mind to already be gracious and to see things for what abundance it is. Right. But you practice. You don't wait until you're in the middle of the fight with the obstacle to go, hey, wait a second, now I want to have gratitude. No, you got to practice it up front.
Yeah, you got to do the work.
You got to.
You got to do the work up front. So let's say we have somebody, Jerrod, in the community or in our immediate circle that really struggles to find the silver lining. That's really just a negative Nancy. How, if possible, can we influence them to find those silver linings?
I think you can go back and listen to that episode of what do we call it? I'm sorry, I'm not sorry, or
yeah.
Start with that one. That's a good one. Like I can be empathetic to you.
I think we called it the sorry pandemic.
Oh, a sorry pandemic. Yeah. I can be empathetic to you, but not wallow with you. Yeah. Right. Not go, oh man, you'll never get, oh, that's so bad. That's so no, like I did with the student. I was using this example. He came to me with all these things that were getting him down. And instead of agreeing that he can't overcome it, like I'm going to present options. Hey, what about this? What are we supposed to learn here? And I don't want to give him the answers, but be in a space where he's going to start looking for his own solutions. And I think part of it goes back to what we just said. I do this every day. I look for abundance and opportunities every day. So if people come to me, I know they're not wasting their time coming to me to not have some kind of a solution or not to have some kind of idea on how to see the world differently. So I just share that, right? Okay, yeah, all these things have happened. What are the lessons here? What is the good thing that's going to come out of this? And then let them start thinking for themselves.
I love it.
And think about, we can all do that, right? If you come to me and you're like, damn, my movers are 3 days late, this and that. And I'm like, oh yeah, this sucks and that sucks. And oh, you should see it's snowing out here, blah, blah, blah. What's easy for us is to go into this whole conversation of no solutions, no opportunities, no learning, no growth. And all we see is obstacles. And we focus on seeing each other's obstacles and reminding each other how big the obstacles are. Or we come together and like, dude, I will never use movers again. Here's it. And when we see the same obstacles, but instead of us focusing on obstacles, we're focused on growth and what do we learn from them and what are the possibilities?
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that's what you do is don't allow them to sit there. Don't you join them sitting there. It's like a pity party, right? Like obstacles and bad shit happen to everybody. You don't have to stay there. And if your friends stay there, like if you're hanging around people that are still telling you about the bad shit that happened 10 years ago, you need a new person in your circle.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, I think we covered some really good strategies here for our community to use. And it's important, community, to remember that at the end of the day, it's on you. You got to do the work. You're the one who has to practice that gratitude, tell yourself the affirmations, realize when it's an obstacle coming up, and choose pronoia, baby. Why not? Why not believe that everything that's happening is in your favor?
Are you sure that's a word?
100%.
All right, pronoia. I love it.
Pronoia, baby.
That's good. I'm gonna use that one.
I'm pronoid. I am so pronoid right now.
Dude, it's good to see you in the sunshine. You're already getting a little more tan than you were out here.
Really? Oh, shit.
Super jealous. I'm glad Andrea can't see this. She'll be really pissed we're still in the snow.
Man.
Well, we love our community. If you guys are enjoying these shows, episode 108, that's over 2 years of showing up every week. Please consider joining us on Patreon. There's extra benefits to being a member there, and you help us continue to share the message of purposeful living around the world. So we're grateful for you, and we'd love to see you join us even deeper on the Patreon side of things.
See you guys next week.
And remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We will see you all again next week.